Hey there and welcome back. In today's session, we will discuss having clause in SQL. The SQL having clause is a clause in SQL that lets you filter data after it has been grouped with the group by clause. If you want to filter data in your SQL query to remove rows based on certain criteria, you will use the where clause. However, you can't use the where clause with the data from the aggregate functions. This is because the order of execution of SQL queries. What does it mean is that the database process the where clause first, then the group by. It can't go back and run another where clause against the result of a count function. To filter data after it has been grouped, you can use the having clause. The SQL having clause works in a similar way to the where clause. You specify the condition after the word having, and any records that meet this criteria after group by has been performed will be shown, and all others will not be shown. Before we continue, let's review the dataset we will be using for this session.
The dataset which we are going to work on is a transaction dataset. In this dataset, you can find out all the information regarding the customer, that what product they have purchased, on what date they have purchased, and what has been the ship date, and all the other attributes associated with the transaction they have made on a particular date. So you can see this is the dataset which we are going to work on. Now let's look at an example to see how the having clause works. In this example, we will calculate the average sales of customer for fiscal year 2020 and show results with average sales of greater than or equal to 100. Select customer underscore name average sales. Let me round it to 2 decimal places. Average underscore sales from Superstore dataset, where year underscore date equal to 2020, group by customer underscore name having average greater than or equal to 100. Let me put up an order by clause also. Average underscore sales. Let's run the code. And you can see here, we have got the desired output. These are only customers with an average sales of 100 or over. And this is how we use having clause in SQL. Notice that we had to use average function in its complete form in the having clause, and we could not use the column alias. And this is because the having clause cannot accept column aliases, because the select clause is run in the end. Let's use alias of average underscore sales in having clause. Let me copy paste this and let me remove order by average sales, and let me replace having and then average underscore sales, which is an alias, the new variable which we have created here. Now you can see here it is the ID is already showing us the invalid column name average underscore sales. Let's run the code and see the error. It is showing us invalid column name average underscore sales. Now you must be thinking why we are getting this particular error. It is all about the order of execution in the SQL query. In this particular code, having clause runs before the select clause. So when the execution happens at the back end, this average underscore sales variable has not been created yet. And that is why we cannot use average underscore sales variable with the having clause, because it has not been created yet. It is going to throw an error. So that is one of the things you guys need to remember when you are using having clause. And that's wrap on the SQL having clause. Remember, having lets you filter data based on aggregate functions after grouping, unlike where clause which works before aggregation. Also remember that you can't use column aliases in the having clause because the select clause is processed afterwards. Instead, you need to use the full aggregate function directly in having. And if you guys have any question on this particular topic, please leave it in the comment section. Thank you so much and have a great day.